Hey friends, welcome back to another week of making space in music. Last week we had a great time learning how to put our trombone together, how to take good care of it. So this week we're just going to jump right in to breathing and buzzing, two of the most important parts of making trombones happen. If you need any reminders from last week about oiling your valve or getting your slide smooth and ready to go, feel free to look back last week. We're just going to jump right in, starting with buzzing and breathing. So the first thing I want to invite us to do this week is actually to set our trombone down. I have a handy dandy trombone stand here that helps me keep it off the ground. If you don't have one with you, if you're ever finding yourself in a rehearsal space, you didn't have one or didn't get to bring it with you, you just want to carefully set it down. I like to put my slide underneath the chair so that it's less likely someone will trip on it or bend it, nick it, things like that. So we're going to set our trombones down because we're talking about breathing. Breathing is a really important piece of playing trombone since that's where all the sound comes from. So we always want to make sure that we're sitting with our feet flat on the floor and that we have good posture. We're ready to sit up so that all of our lungs can be used to have good air. If we're slouched over or we have one leg up or different kind of contorted positions, that can impact the amount of air that we can get and the quality of air that we'll get as well. And so this week we're going to make sure we're sitting with our feet flat on the floor. We're sitting up tall. We're just going to take some deep breaths. We want these to be really smooth breaths. So you don't want to try to stop it anywhere in your throat or in your mouth. You want to feel that air go all the way down and come all the way back. So let's do that again, doing nice, clean breaths. That's great. So what we do next is realizing that we don't normally have as much time to take in air as we do to push out air. Right? So we normally will have just a quick moment between notes, maybe even a whole rest or something like that. And so we want to be sure that we take the amount of time that we can to have as long of an airstream as possible. So there are fewer breaks in our melody that we're playing. And so now I'm going to invite you to breathe in for 1 and breathe out for 4. All right, so I'll count us and we'll do 1, 2, 3. How did we do? Maybe let's try that one again. We're going to breathe in on 1 and we're going to breathe out for 4. So we got 1, 2, 3. So again, when we're doing this, we want all of our breaths to be as clear as possible. So we get a lot of air on that 1 and push out a lot of air with great force behind it on all 4 beats. You don't want to run out and start with a strong. You run out of air and it sounds really bad. So we want to make sure that we keep in mind how much time we have to breathe out and make sure that we kind of measure that as our air is going out of us throughout. So now we're going to do a similar thing where we're going to do 1 breath in and we're going to do out for 6. So 1 in and 6 out. 1, 2, 3. Whew, that one's a lot harder, isn't it? So it's helpful to know how we go, and this is a great part of practice because you don't even have to have your trombone with you at all. We can always be practicing getting good air in and pushing good air out. And you can keep lengthening this. You can do in for 1, out for 8. You can do in for 2, out for 16. You can mess around and kind of try out some different ways to breathe. That'll be really helpful for you as you get into more complicated pieces over the next few years. The better air that you get now, the better practices you'll have in the future. So that's a really important piece. We always want to be sure that we're having good air. And you can kind of feel it in your stomach, right? When you start to run out, you start to bend over and push it out. But we always want to feel where we are. So when you get to that last kind of 25% of your tank, you start to run low, you take note and take another good breath so that we're filling all the way back up to 100. We have really good lungs that can help us make really great sound if we use them well. The next piece I want to talk to you about, we're going to go back to our trombone. We're just going to grab our mouthpiece. This is such an important key for us as trombonists, since a lot of our instrument is based on what we do here with our mouth. So we describe what we call our mouth shape, kind of the muscles around. That's called our embouchure. Sounds like a really big, complicated word, but it's just how our mouth is shaped. I'm going to come a little bit closer here and show you. This is how our mouth is shaped. And so I'll take my mouthpiece, and luckily our trombone has pretty much a similar shape to what our mouth is when you do kind of like a smile, like a grin. You want to have tight corners, and you want to be able to kind of manipulate your lips in the middle. Does that make sense? So we'll take our mouthpiece. You don't have to have it be really tight like trumpets might, and you don't have to have it be really wide like a tuba might. We're right in the middle. So let's see your little grin. And then we'll put our mouthpiece just right in the middle. This is really important that it's right in the middle, because this is where all the meat of our lips are. And that allows us to use that to our advantage. If you play on the side, it's a lot harder to get a buzz going. So this is our embouchure. You can kind of feel, and sometimes you'll even get a ring around your lips of where the mouthpiece was. That's okay. Especially at the beginning, your mouth is learning what's going on here. And these are muscles in your face, so they might get tired sometimes too, if you're playing for a long time. So here we have a good embouchure. And inside our mouth, we want to keep our teeth apart. I like to imagine, I had a teacher who taught me to keep a tennis ball inside my mouth. Now, don't actually put a tennis ball inside there, but just imagine it's kind of big. And so you want to leave enough space for there to be lots of air that can move in and out. Right? We can keep our corners strong and steady, but our lips can move and our tongue can move inside our mouth as well. If we have to clench down our teeth, it's a lot harder to get air to go through. So we got our good embouchure, we got an open mouth, and again, we have the open throat that goes all the way down to our lungs. We get good air and good breath. So I invite you, if you're having a little bit of trouble figuring out how your corners are doing or getting your mouth open, just kind of mess around, do things that feel really awkward and uncomfortable, and then find the sweet spot, because you're going to use this every single time you come to play the trombone. There we go. We're doing great, friends. Now, next thing we're going to do is called buzzing. This is where the heart of our sound comes from, and it's from our lips, right here. And so it doesn't matter what pitch you're trying to match, we could get there later. But for right now, we're going to take our mouthpiece on its own. We're going to set up our good embouchure, and we're going to try to just play a note. Make it consistent. You want to push air behind it, and see what comes out. All right? All right? So again, you want to have a consistent sound. You don't want it to be wavering. And you don't want it to kind of fall out because you don't have enough air either. Now, if your corners aren't tight, that will make a difference as well. It'll kind of sound like that second noise. because my corners are moving around. So you want to make sure your corners are tight, you have good air, and you push as hard as you can. Just think of one note and see how you can get it to come out. Now you can do this on a bunch of different levels. If you want to try to match pitches, play on a piano or maybe a piano on your phone, you can have all kinds of different sounds. But this will help you to kind of feel how your whole face will move as you play different notes. So as we pull together on our mouthpiece, we can try doing lip slurs. We're gonna go up and down, kind of like a wave. All right, so we'll start on one note, we'll go down and up, and just kind of see what noises you can make. A lot of this is about getting to know your body and getting to know how you can use this tool to make beautiful music. All right, so let's try to do some lip slurs, some sound waves. Pretty fun, right? That's why we get to play the trombone. We get to have these fun slides and slurs all over the place. And so a lot of that actually comes more from our lips than from the trombone itself. So I invite you to keep practicing, find different notes, try them out, see what you can make. We also want to make sure you're using your mouthpiece to practice buzzing. It's a great way to get started at the beginning of band class as everyone's kind of coming in and getting their instruments together. It's a wonderful way to get your face warmed up, right? So just like you would stretch before going to the gym or playing some kind of game or sport, you want to make sure that your face is ready. So lots of times that's why band directors will spend what seems like forever on our warm-ups, because we want to make sure that we're not injuring our face muscles, because we want to be able to play for a long time. So this is kind of the basics of breathing and of embouchure. We'll continue to do some practices throughout as we get started in the next videos, because breathing is really important. But the things to remember right now are just good, clean air every time. And push with your gut, right? We don't want it to come from our chest. So we push the air, and then we do that with a good embouchure that's well set right in the middle. And we see what we can make. We try to be open and not hinder our bodies in any way. And it's also great to remember this is going to take some time to figure out, and it'll change over time too. So as you get taller, your arms get longer. For me, I started playing trombone when I had braces, and then I got them off and had to relearn some things. So you're constantly going to be playing and growing, and that's okay. Part of the joy of music is getting to come together and play. That doesn't mean play perfectly. It doesn't mean nail it every single time, but instead it's a journey that you're on together by yourself with the trombone, but also with your friends in your band class. So keep practicing breathing whenever you have a couple extra minutes, or just carry your mouthpiece around with you and see what kind of noises you can make. All right, friends, we'll catch up next week and we'll learn some more about connecting to the trombone and making some sounds.